Tottenham's final game in the Europa League is at home to Swedish side Elfsborg, a game that Tottenham must win if they are to progress to the automatic knockout places in the Europa League and avoid having to face the dreaded playoff, an extra two-legged game in the middle of our season, something Spurs could absolutely do without because of so many injuries to the squad. I think I read it rightly earlier. Tottenham have 15 injuries at the moment in total across the club. I think only 8 players available over the age of 18 for this Thursday night game against Elfsborg in Europe. It is unprecedented and utterly insane. And it begs the question, how on earth are Tottenham going to line up for this game? It is anyone's guess, and that is what I wanted to make this video about. I want to talk about the lineup, about who we could possibly see play in this final Europa League game and who I think we should play. So if you do enjoy this video, please remember to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Hopefully in the next couple of days as well, there will be some transfer news. We've only got a couple of days left and there's still nothing imminent or over the line according to Ange Postecoglou in the transfer window. However, reports have suggested today being Wednesday, that Spurs have been offered the chance to sign Matthias Tell from Bayern Munich. He wants out and there's talks of a potential loan until the end of the season. I would be all over that if I was Tottenham, but that's a video for another day. Today I want to talk about this Tottenham lineup, this mess of a squad. There have been so many updates over the last couple of days, so I want to start with that. Luckily for Spurs, and to the joy of so many Spurs fans out there, Ange Postecoglou has today confirmed that Mickey van der Ven is back and available for Elfsborg. He's had 10 days training since being back from injury and he's ready for some minutes according to Ange Postecoglou. I am absolutely delighted, but also so scared. I'm so scared about seeing him on the pitch again. I just want him to be able to get through the rest of the season without any more problems, without retweaking that hamstring. So I do feel like we have to be insanely careful with him in the next couple of games. Elfsborg on Thursday and Brentford on Sunday. We have that huge week against Liverpool and Aston Villa in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup in a couple of weeks' time. So we have to be really gentle, easing him back in. I think good to give him 10 or 15 minutes against Elfsborg and then move from there. So that's really great news. The not so good news on the defensive side of things is that Ange Postecoglou has confirmed Christian Romero is not quite ready yet and he's not going to be in contention for this weekend either. He was spotted doing some gym work at the Tottenham Hotspur training centre today rather than being outside taking part in full training with the team. Cario was spotted in full training with the team, taking part in all of the same keeper drills as Antonin Kinski, who is ineligible for this game, and Brandon Austin. And we don't actually know whether he is back in contention to start for Spurs yet, but I really hope that he is. It'll be really nice to see him back. Some great competition now after we brought Kinski through the door. So yeah, it's good to see Romero back. Really good to see Mickey van der Ven back. Brennan Johnson, I believe, remains out with a thigh injury and isn't expected back until February. Destiny Udogie is expected back in February as well with his hamstring injury, so still no real positive updates on those two. Dominic Solanke, we know, is out for around another 5 weeks or so. So it looks like Richarlison is going to get the nod to start again. Ange Postecoglou confirming that Richie is okay. He was substituted early in the loss to Leicester last weekend due to feeling his groin, and they did not want to take any chances whatsoever, which I think is completely fair enough, to be honest, because we're down to the bare bones as it is. And Richie, I think, has been really bright in the 2 games that he's been back in. So really fantastic to hear that he's fit and available for this game, as is Yves Bissouma and Pat Matar. There were talks that both of them may be unavailable. Can you believe it? I could genuinely list through the entire squad and who may be unavailable just because of how many people there are at the moment. But Pat Matar was taken away from training earlier in the week and he struggled struggled to recover in the games. Over the last couple of weeks or so, he did not look fit against Leicester. And Ange said after the game that he should not have played, but he really, really wanted to help out with the team. So he's all right, according to our manager, as is Yves Bissouma. He's back in full training, ready to go. Rodrigo Bentancur is the same. He's still available and good. Still no Timo Werner, still no Wilson Odobert, but it does look like after Romero and Vicario, Wilson Odobert may be the next player to return for Tottenham, which is going to be a huge boost for the attack. We know how direct and exciting it was to watch him in the early stages of the season, bringing that different dynamic to our squad and to our front line, to be honest. And the target date for him to return is currently the 10th of February, but again, reports saying that he may be available to be back before that date, which is fantastic, absolutely brilliant. In terms of ineligible players for this game, Antonin Kinski is not available to be selected. Neither is Jed Spence or Sergio Reguilon, because neither of them had been registered in the Europa League squad, and we can't make any changes to that until after this Elfsborg game, when we're hopefully safely through to the knockout round. So with all of that sort of jumbled up team news out of the way and done, I guess we get into building this lineup, because there's so much to sort of guess at and predict. What is Ange going to do? Is he going to give a rest to some of these players? Because while it's an incredibly important game, because if we win, we're through in the top 8 and we don't have that two-legged playoff game, Elfsborg are probably one of the weaker opposition that we will play across the entire tournament. And at home, I really, really, really would hope that we have enough with some rotation, despite all of the injuries, to be able to beat them. So I am going to sort of lean into that a little bit when talking about my sort of starting 11. But without further ado, we'll start from the back. I think he has to go with Brandon Austin, even if Vicario is back fit and ready. Brandon Austin, I think, has proved himself in the couple of games that he has played against Newcastle, against Tamworth and against Hoffenheim last week, that he's a capable backup. So I don't think he should have too many problems against Elfsborg, and I would definitely be starting him in goal. The back line is a very interesting one, because I don't necessarily think we have too many options to be able to rotate. I think that centre-back pairing is still going to have to be Ben Davies and Radu Dragusin, purely because I would be utterly gobsmacked if Ange Postecoglou started Mickey van der Ven in this game. I know he says he's fit and available and ready, but there's no point taking any risks at this point in the season when your job's on the line, where everybody's getting frustrated and annoyed at everything, injuries happening day after day. I even forgot to mention James Maddison in the injury talk. James Maddison is out for 2 to 3 weeks with a calf problem. He withdrew late on from the squad against Leicester. And yeah, it looks like, despite Ange saying it was just a sore one and we're not taking any risks, it looks like it's going to be a 2 or 3 week absence for Maddison as well. So he gets added onto the injury list. But back to the defence. Van der Ven may come off the bench, but I think we'll have that centre-back pairing of Davis and Dragusin, which means I think Pedro Porro has to play at right back and Archie Gray has to play at left back, purely because Reguilon and Jed Spence are not eligible to be picked for this game. So I do think that back line does pick itself in that sense. We have a few more options in midfield. Now, Rodrigo Bentancur, I think, is nailed on to start, purely just because Bissouma and Pat Matassar are sort of, and have been nursing injuries and little niggles. I think it will be a Bissouma and Bentancur pivot back there. I don't think he'll risk Papsar, considering he played on Sunday and he didn't look fit at all. Just give him that little bit of rest that he may well need. I think we'll go with that, and I hope that he plays. I hope that he plays Lucas Bergvall in that number 10 role ahead, obviously with no James Maddison. The other option there is Dejan Kulusevski, but I think with the lack of wingers and wide players we have at the moment, I do think it will be Lucas Bergvall. Purely because Decky has played over the last few weeks, just constantly, 90 minutes after 90 minutes, and he just looks so tired, and he's been really ineffective and not amazing personally. So I actually don't think Dejan Kulusevski will start this game. Listen to this front line, because I actually really quite like it. So I'm going to go on the left with Heung-min Son. I think captain, need that little bit of experience in the side. And I think Kulusevski is probably more worthy of being rested than Heung-min Son at this point, just because Decky hasn't actually had a chance to breathe at all whatsoever so far this season. So I'm going to go Son on the left, Richarlison as the striker through the middle, and on the right I want to see Mikey Moore start. He's had assists coming off the bench, played really, really well, looks direct, looks energetic, looks dangerous on either side of the wing on the pitch. So I would start Mikey Moore, play him out on that right hand side, give Kulusevski a rest. Richie hopefully is okay to play a large chunk of the game, but we have Lancashire that we can bring on as a substitute, and then Son on that left. And if we need to rotate him with Kulusevski, even if they play 45 minutes each, it's 45 minutes that they get rested, which is better than nothing. So that's the team I would go for Elfsborg at home, our final Europa League game. What do you make of it? Are there any changes you would make to that squad? Would you like to see Mickey van der Ven get some minutes in this game, or would you just completely rest him and potentially put him back in for that huge Premier League clash against Brentford on Sunday? I do think we are still very, very stretched, but it's nice to hear at least that there are some players coming back. Regardless, I have to say again, the negligence of the board not to sign any players other than Kinski so far in this January transfer window. It's the 29th of January recording this video, is utterly disgraceful. So I don't know what Jan Lang has been doing during this month, and Daniel Levy and everyone else. Postecoglou saying there's nothing imminent is just infuriating. It makes the blood boil, but we'll come back round to that when I do my transfer roundup at the end of the week, and hopefully there's something to report on. That is my sort of preview and building the starting 11 and team news, everything for Elfsborg all mixed into one. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like if you did, and subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. I will be back for a reaction piece, hopefully after Spurs have booked their place in the knockout rounds of the Europa League. Enjoy the rest of your week, enjoy the game if you are heading into North London, and as always, come on you Spurs.